talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about this Charlie Kirk situation. Everybody wants me to weigh in on, apparently. So, you know, as far as what I think, well, let's start with, like, let's go over the details of, like, the information and stuff like that. So, I had actually heard that he had been shot. It hadn't been determined that he had been killed yet, but I had heard that he had been shot when I had gotten on my stream earlier. So I found out, obviously, during the stream that he didn't make it, obviously. So now the whole point is that you know, everybody's, of course, immediately jumping all over this. And everybody's just, let's make a stream, put this guy's name in it, so we can get some clickbait off of that too, yada yada yada, you get it. So, that's what everybody's doing, regardless if they have any business talking about it or not. So let's have a little bit of an intelligent conversation a little bit about this. Here's what I think. You want to know what I think? Let's go over the details. That's what I think. And going over the details, I have so many questions. And obviously, yes, we condemn this. We always condemn violence. But this is the sort of thing where we see the trolls, the internet trolls, and, you know, all these different people, even media, where immediately just everybody's talking about this and everybody's all over this. And I see very few sources almost treating it responsibly, respectfully. I see very few. Now I see some, but very few talking about the details. A lot of people talking about hate. A lot of people talking about things that don't matter. And so I want to have a conversation of what I actually think. I think that it's a little bit ridiculous observing some of the footage that I've seen. I think in the modern day, I think it's extremely ridiculous that an entire crowd of people that size all has the same scared reaction of one rifle shot. Now, I'm not talking about the initial everybody getting down. That's natural. I'm talking about this scared runaway reaction where everybody was just forcefully running out of there from one rifle shot. No follow-up, no, like, just a shot. And look, I'm all for organizing and I'm all for doing that, except not to run away. I'm all for that crowd running across the street to the building to wherever this lunatic was trying to run out of, and now nobody has seen this person and we have to investigate this. All those people, they could have simply turned around. And it just makes me wish, you know what I mean? Like, it really makes me wish, like it's just like, man, you always think about how you handle it and stuff like that. It's like, I'm not talking about the initial reaction. Everybody's going to have that get down initial reaction. Yeah, it happens. But I'm talking about after that. What do you do? So that's what I think. And that's what I think America shows the rest of the world sometimes when they react that way. Secondly, and I'm not the only one that thinks that. There's going to be other intelligence organizations and media outlets across the world that are going to think that same thing too. Okay, so I'm not the only one. Secondly, let's deduce the facts. Large event, lots of people. Plenty of windows. Plenty of openings. For law enforcement right now, there's also plenty of reflections. So, look at your security camera footage and look at reflections, not just at footage. So just a tip. Secondly, about all this stuff, logistically, why on earth? Why, oh, why, oh, why, oh, why, oh, why? Why on earth? Why? And I'm not saying it's bad that this person obtained the footage and got it legally speaking. I'm not saying that's the bad part. I mean, because that person was very responsible with it. Thankfully. But why the hell is suddenly footage from people's phones and stuff of the event showing up online for sale? And then conveniently there's footage of right when that happened showing up online for sale. It wouldn't be too much of the stretch of the imagination to assume that the people that are selling those videos organized that for the purposes of selling it, or the purposes of redistributing, getting money off of this, publicity, whatever. And that's what I really think. There's too much of that going on already, and that's what I already thought. And then I thought to myself, you know, that is literally how they got that footage. It was for sale. That's weird. That's strange. Now, not that that never happens, but so quickly. And just, we know how much people on the internet already, everybody's a freaking journalist now. Like, everybody has to be a freaking journalist, everybody's got to be a content creator, everybody's got to go viral, right? And so, that's what everybody's doing. And when you have that happening, big event, all those people, makes it very easy to blend in. So, I don't know, the guy in the plaid shirt that was casually standing there watching and didn't have any reaction whatsoever to everybody ducking down and stuff like that, yeah, that's weird. And then also the same person that's, I don't know, 10 feet from him recording this, and that's the footage, and that person's also not acting strange, and they all have line of sight from each other to the shooter. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that was organized by those people. Well, what are we in grade school police work here? Like, I think that's like job well done, let's go home sort of scenario. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is pretty obvious stuff right there. I'm just saying, like, I realize I don't know what happened. I realize, like, I'm being only told what I see in that footage, so that's what I know what happened. I do know that I know that somebody, that he got shot, obviously I know that. But obviously I don't know beyond the scope of that what happened. But that's where my detective work comes into play. And that's where I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, you know, with all this going on where people are doing that, and we know people commit crimes like, oh, I don't know, murder and stuff, for the sake of making content to call it pranks. Since we know people have done that, footage was for sale. And you're immediately going to blame the Democrats. So, yeah, job well done. Yeah. You're going to pin the hate on anybody pointing the finger that is like, you know, like where Trump almost got assassinated twice. Everybody was so hateful towards Democrats, and so you know that the first person that did that was literally a conservative voter. The first shooter was a registered Republican. So, just put that little piece of information out there for you. Well, we don't know much about this shooter yet, but the point is, you know, right at the moment that the person was shot, you know, right at the moment that it was terribly, terribly shot. Right after that, you know, you can see a person on a roof scurrying away. But it's not on the roof of that place. It's the one and it's very far away. It's hard to tell. So that's on purpose. Um, just the fact that it's so quick anymore for people to get online and jump all over this stuff. Like, it's always so suspicious. It's always so, like... Can I be honest with you? As a conservative, like, if you're a conservative voter and you're voting Donald Trump and you're supposedly voting conservative, that's supposedly what you're for. Why is your immediate thought to get on the internet and jump down every person's throat that votes the other way? Why is your immediate response to cause hate? Wouldn't that cause people to want to harm people that had nothing to do with this? One person did this. One crazy psycho. And you're just doing that. Just like two other crazy psychos tried to assassinate the current president. That's it. 3 people. Stop doing this where you generalize and you go and you cause hate directed at entire groups of people. You end up doing exactly the opposite of what you intend to do. You're claim to be for a cause or something, you want people to listen to it, but then you do the opposite. Forcing people just does the opposite. So this is you really want to know what I think. I'm just gonna sit there and deduce the facts and deduce what I've seen and I know. If they're still alive, I'll go ahead and I'll give you a suggestion. He is still alive. This guy's impressive. So go watch a channel called Agenda Free TV. He has his own. I don't know that he monetizes through YouTube or anything like that. I think he may, but he is the one I was talking about that has the rights to that video where he was able to buy the rights and stuff like that. And again, he's being so responsible with it. When he's reporting on this media, he really does. I can sort of tell where he leans, but I analyze people. That's what I do. He doesn't let it come out in his reporting. He really does try to report and just stick to that. And he does a good job of it. So that's where some of that information is coming from that I just gave you. So I wanted to tell you that because that's probably the only place where you'll be able to cite getting that information, because he bought the rights to that. So that's why, again, that's just so weird that was happening so quickly. And again, not on him, not bad on him or anything. Full props to him for doing that and treating it responsible and not having some sort of obvious political agenda when he reports it. He's just reporting facts and talking about it. I love the way he does it. Really, really good job with it. And he's been live. He still has 17,000 people watching him. He's been live for a long time. I think he was live during the whole time I was live. Stayed live. Now I think he takes breaks and stuff like that. Sort of like I do. I'll get food or something. But like, he was live the whole time I was live, and he came back. He's still live now. So they're covering this whole thing, and so like I just wanted to really give them a huge shout out, because I do think he does such a good job of covering the stuff. Truly agenda free for the most part. So, and if not, then that's probably just my opinion. So yeah, it's really hard to establish too much from that footage, aside from just that you see a person, a very small person in the distance moving away conveniently as that happened. But I hope you're following my logic that you want somebody that's not going to sit here and use political bias. Okay. I'm going to question the people that uploaded that video, and I'm going to question the fact that they were calmly filming this, clearly, right there. That guy didn't react. So I'm just going to ask him those questions. See how they react. Just like an investigator should. You know? That's all. Interrogate. That's all. You can question people. Again, I think they probably were. The person that uploaded the video probably was, but again, it's just so strange it was available like that. This is so strange to me. Now, again, nothing bad on them for obtaining the video or anything. I'm just saying it's very strange. That's all. Like, from an investigatory standpoint, it's very strange. And something strange that isn't average, that doesn't stand out, yeah. Now, it does stand out, I'm sorry. Now, again, if you're investigating and you need footage, you can't find footage, number one, what's the building? Does the building have ID cards? If it has ID cards, that's pretty simple. If not, cameras, reflections too. Not just security footage, but reflections of security footage. So consider the fact some of these windows have, like these buildings have huge windows with giant reflections in them. So if you can zoom in on those reflections, you might catch a leg or the side of a face or something. I promise. You gotta use it right. You gotta understand how to use it right. So just try again. Try that. That is my little tip. Something I was always planning to throw out there at some point anyway. But especially now that this has happened, I'm not keeping it to myself. You know, it's, if you need it, you need it. But I mean, that should be an idea that I think most people need to be taught. when they, investigate footage and stuff anyway, just learn that stuff. If you're looking at everything the same way you always do, you're not investigating. You know what I mean? Like, you're not doing anything. You gotta be able to do that. Turn it upside down, turn it inside out, look at it from the left, the right, open it up. Yeah, like, literally just everything. And stuff that you didn't think of, too. So, there's a lot of cell phones out there. You can use which I'm sure the FBI is already doing, a search spectrum of, like, anything having to do with that event and people posting and stuff like that. I'm sure they're already doing it, but just in case. That'll get you, obviously anybody that's uploaded and the footage of that, and then you can use that. So what I was going to say is that's a pretty central area, right? What I would do is I would back up traffic cams to, like, around that time period. Like, look at some traffic cams for the intersections to where that building is where the shooter was. And look to about right before, like, around or before when the event began. And I know there's a lot of people coming and going, and that's the tricky part. But the main thing is, obviously, then you want to look for somebody that A, looks off, obviously, and B, would match going that direction to that building where they eventually were. They're not going to park there. They're going to have an escape route or something like that. They're going to park at the event, walk across the street or something like that. They're going to, they're going to do what everybody else does. Okay? So I would, again, it's tedious, but you put the work in and you'll find something eventually. Just, it's tedious. Traffic cameras, though, that's your friend with stuff like that, where, yeah, at some point, they would have had to have driven that way. But the sheer number of people that did that day, and the window tint, you get what I'm saying. But there's just some things. I would start with, obviously, right, sort of like right before it happened. See if you can get any glimpses of the street, anyone crossing the street and stuff. Let's start with that. So, I mean, this is pretty basic stuff. Yeah, that should be pretty basic stuff, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure people have already considered this stuff, but just in case. I don't think they're gonna find anything with the ballistics. It's a pro. I mean, it was obviously a pro. But yeah, reflections. That'll sometimes do it. Be surprised, especially those windows and stuff with the tint, the big windows. Sometimes just because of that tint and stuff, the low light, you actually get a clearer reflection from it because of that, actually. How does he know this? You just walk around the city, man. We can see people's reflections off the buildings. It's pretty simple. So everybody immediately is labeling this, you know, hate crime, you know, like a political hate crime, that sort of thing. And I don't agree. I think, again, this is another example of these people that want chaos and want to use this crazy political thing that's going on as an excuse to mask that. Yeah, and you'll just think it's political. Meanwhile, there's these people that just want to be chaotic. You know, they want to destroy some cop cars for no reason. I don't know any of my Democratic friends, even the ones that, you know, seem like they post a lot of things that are really, really mean and stuff like that to the other side and stuff. They would never actually, like, they're just saying that crap. I mean, it's the stuff they post, but then they're the seemingly harmless office worker that, you know, wouldn't hurt a fly, you know? It's like, it's just ridiculous sometimes how worked up people get. And so the point is that the rest of the world sees that all these intelligence organizations around the world, you know, using the psychological impacts of that on the internet to their advantage, all this botting and stuff, using it to their advantage to, you know, just like you saw earlier, coming in the chat right down to be like, you know, it's sick and trying to say that, like, something bad about me somehow, even though, again, I didn't ever not condemn it. I literally just, you know, obviously it was like, well, I didn't hear if I heard that he got shot, but I didn't, you know, and so, like, immediately just trying to make it that, you know, and so the point is, it's not reasonable, it's just chaos. We're just trying to make everybody fight. And I've been saying this for a while. I've been saying for a while that all they're trying to do is anybody like myself that's always been able to get along with both sides because I'm reasonable, they really want to screw that up. They really want you to fight with people. That's what they want. They want you to not get along. They want the arguments. That's what they want. They want the hate. They want everybody to see it too. So they've been doing this in a lot of live streams and stuff like that too. Some people do. So, you want to know my honest opinion? No. It's not a hate crime. It's not a political hate crime. It's a calculated crime disguised as a political hate crime. That's it. Literally, they want to make some money off of it. Just like most crimes work. That's it. And sadly, it's a lot of crime. It's not political. It's just crime. It's just like when I make the statement that shouldn't seem radical, that racism is just bullying. By labeling it racism, you actually give bullies power. Because now you've disguised it and given them the ability to be like, oh no, well I got a black friend, I couldn't possibly be. You know, or something like that. You give them that power. So, it's just bullying. You just don't label it as racism. It's just bullying. You know, but the point is we sort of have to now. Because people weren't educated right. They weren't brought up to believe that. Even ones that are segregated and do have this problem and are treated, you know, racially and stuff, they're not taught right either. Trust me, they're not. And then they have that problem too. Probably more so. I shouldn't say more so, but more so in the sense that they want to harm, or they like definitely like think it for sure. Because it's definitely something that I've heard. You know, where firsthand, you know, if people confide in me about, you know, what they've thought of during those moments, you know, where somebody was kind of going at them, but for no reason except the, you know, color of their skin, basically. And, you know, it's the sort of thing where, like, yeah, it does, it changes you. They basically reveal it sort of changes you. You know, you have a real hard time viewing people the same way. Because it's hate. And it affects you. And now we have interference and FPS dropping in the stream. So, basically, they're probably trying to break up what I'm saying. Cause a problem for the stream. So, basically, you know, the point is that, you know, they would feel very hateful. You know, because they're initially dealt some hate. So they, you know, they just in turn are changed because of that. They just feel differently about people, and it's really hard for them to come to grips with that and be able to kind of, you know, treat people and just view people the same. And that's just the general gist, you know. Obviously, that's not that person saying that, but, you know, through what they said, that's what I've put together. So that's why they, you know, essentially do that and feel that way. Because, yeah, that is literally what it is. It's just hate for hate. And it makes sense. But, you know, obviously the answer is to always try to be the better person. And so that's what we have to do. That's what we have to do now. You know, we don't say good. And we condemn it. It's terrible. You don't say it's good that it happened. You don't say that. You don't. No, you condemn it. You condemn all violence toward anybody, the president, toward any Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. Violence is violence, bullying is bullying. It doesn't matter if it's because the person's orange or black, or because they wear a blue shirt, or whatever crazy weird thing you want to make fun of the person for and make them feel less about themselves. And we're not talking about just making fun of, we're talking about when adults that play professional football get pulled over after a game and can't even drive home because they get racially profiled and pulled over and cited because the cop can't even recognize that he's an NFL quarterback. And like, I'm sure the guy's probably saying to him, "Look, man, you don't even know who I am. Like, if you just look, like, you don't even know my name by looking at my ID. You don't recognize that I'm a quarterback. You gotta like, if he knew, he probably wouldn't be a jerk. But he's being a jerk. He's trying to find something. He's racially profiling him. And meanwhile, you know, Tom Brady, maybe he speeds all the time. I don't know. Probably doesn't. Tom Brady probably doesn't. But I don't know. Pick somebody else. You know, somebody that would. You know, and then he probably never gets pulled over, right? So this is the point. The point was that this was happening, where people who had positions of power, not cops or racists, but just that the people that were in those positions were abusing that power. And some of them were. But not all of them, obviously. It just was happening a lot. So, it becomes this thing where you have to label it. You have to call it what it is. You know, it becomes something else instead of just bullying. It becomes racism, where it's now this whole separate thing where, yeah, you better define that so you can teach it. You teach people not to do that. But yeah, it's bullying. That's what it is. It's worse. It's oppression, it's segregation. It teaches your kids to pick on the kid at school that's a different color than them. So, yeah, we haven't had anything but one viewer in the stream. Notice our views go down to nothing after the FPS weird thing. So just calling that out. Viewer suppression after the FPS drop from the stalker that we talked about earlier that keeps showing up in the chat. So definitely have not seen any more than... And again, this person always pushes a second viewer through to try to make it wrong. And then if I say that, then they push a one additional one. They're just coming in with bots, hiding the real views. I've literally proven this at great length. Interesting. FPS shifting around. So again, that's just them screwing around with the device. The FPS doesn't randomly shift around. That idiot didn't even know it was 30 FPS until I told him the one day. Probably thought it was 60 the whole time. That's probably why he started shifting it around. He realized that the mobile streams were actually that low. This is the point. He can only do what he can do because he sat here reverse engineering the things I said. This is getting a little old. So anyway, they're definitely paying attention to the things that you're breaking. They're starting to pay attention, trust me. Oh, they are. You shifting the FPS slightly is not somehow some sort of thing that I'm concerned about. It's not a warning. That's not, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. Yeah, it's just documentation, that's all. You realize I have to state that, right? Yeah, like, that's the purpose. Yeah, for documentation purposes, I would have to state that, obviously. But you think I've been saying all of this because I want to? No. Nope. I must. Legally bound. So, yeah. And just think about the sheer number of streams that you've sabotaged and how many games you've screwed up. We have evidence of right here on YouTube. Just think, just sheer number. Most recently, Vampire Survivors. Yeah. Remember that one day that you were screwing around with Billionaire, and I started pretending like there was like some sort of randomization with like the ball, the way it fell. Remember that? Remember? I was like pretending like there was like a randomization to the way the ball fell. Because if you remember, I messed up on that initially, so I had fun with it. If you remember, I messed up with it on initially. I actually thought that, but it was actually the eye. I actually did have to move it. So then what I did to this stalker that was messing around with it was I then sort of kind of baited him a bit more, and he started shifting the bitrate around all maliciously and stuff. Conveniently, right as I was complaining about that again, and then like it was proven that we were getting all these viewers in there conveniently right then too. So they were trending the stream right then. And the whole point was I had already said that it was my bad, I figured it out. So then I just like acted like I forgot about that or something. Like I just totally ignored that I had learned. And I started saying it again. Maybe it might have actually been like the next stream, like the next day or something, now that I think about it. But at a certain point, I pretended like I sort of just like forgot or something like that. And I acted like that it just never happened. And I started complaining about it. I was like, man, he's messing around with it. And like literally I was just clicking and it was just falling anywhere, you know, because you can angle it, you know. So yeah, like the point is the person sits here and thinks they're screwing with me, but I'm baiting them to continue screwing around and doing the things they have been doing to me to prove to the people that are watching and investigating that they're doing it. It's so absurd. And then the idiot just keeps doing it. So that's what's going on here. Now, can I throw something out there? This assassination happened the day before September 11th. So, if I'm actually doing this investigation right, I'm going to assume that's a factor. And unfortunately, if that's a factor, it's actually less likely a terrorist of foreign nature and far more likely not democratic, but actually one of their own, like Trump maybe. If I'm actually doing the investigation right, I'm going to consider that. Because it's a little too close to 9/11, where everybody would be reminded of the fact that Trump didn't do anything about Bin Laden. Obama did. And you know that's how Trump thinks. That's exactly how he thinks. He's always like, you know, Mr. All About Himself and stuff like that. So I also think it's really suspicious that he decided not to talk for freaking ever when talking about this guy too. Almost like prepping for it. Like, well, I better not go on forever like I normally do. You get what I'm saying? Like, why wouldn't he do the normal on-brand thing? You get what I'm saying? So, I'm doing the investigation right. Yeah. That's a real consideration. What would the Democrats have to do with it? No, give me a real, reasonable, credible. Not because the other side says this. Give me a real one. Because Trump would do it just specifically so that all the cameras talk about him and Republicans, and it makes them, like, you know, it makes you feel sorry for them. Do you remember when Trump almost got assassinated? Yeah, he does. So basically, the point is, yeah, are they willing to take out one of their best? That might end up stabbing them in the back anyway, because once they find out how corrupt they are, because that guy's not corrupt, they are. So that guy's actually pretty cool. So once he finds out they're corrupt, he may not back them, sort of like Pence did and like other people did. Makes sense now? So if I'm actually doing the investigation right, I'm going to consider that crap too. With it being this close to September 11th, where Trump's going to be all like, oh, the cameras aren't on me, rah, rah, rah. Let's do this for this day and make sure he's there. He's handing out MAGA hats. Trump knew he'd be there. It was for him, right? Right? He's handing out MAGA hats. So Trump knew about it. He organized it. Maybe organized it, but his people did. Yeah, Trump did it. He's the most likely candidate. He is the most likely. So that's why they're just randomly blaming people now. They're just going to pick somebody. Somebody without an alibi. They're just going to pick somebody. Or they're just going to never find them. Like the new Lee Harvey Oswald. Oh, except you know what happened to him. Oh boy. You know, there really are too many suspicious things around Trump right now. Didn't you wear a blue tie, too? And the thing? He never wears a blue tie. Didn't he wear a blue tie? I swear I saw him wearing a blue tie. And I didn't watch it yet. Hold on. Oh my God, he did. He wore a blue tie. I don't know, man. And he was announcing the manhunt when he wore. I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay, so there were 2 shots. There was 2. But either way, I still think 2 single shots where you're not hearing, like, automatic rounds and stuff. You can rationalize they're not shooting at a crowd, they're shooting at a single target. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's all I'm saying about that. Like, so, like, yeah, like, at least there I was able to correct that information. So there was 2 shots, but again, what I was trying to say was that you would logically deduce after it's not automatic rounds just spraying. They're not shooting at the crowd; they're shooting at a single target. So that's what I'm saying about the crowd reacting the way they did is why why the panic and run? Why? And if they're going to do that, why not try to figure out where this person is? Why isn't everybody doing that? Where this run home Jack, Like, it's just ridiculous. So basically, like, a lot of people in this country really are foolish with stuff like that. And that's IQ. That is as basic as it gets with IQ. Like, this is where I am with IQ. Like, I've always... Because IQ shouldn't be based on how much knowledge necessarily a person has, because that's wisdom. Like, whether you know a math equation or something, well, that's determined of whether you studied that math or not. Maybe you just didn't learn trig, so you don't know how to do it. No, IQ, in my opinion, organically, is how you handle that situation. Did you make the correct choice under pressure? And, yeah, like, that's IQ. Recovering from an accident instead of having one. Like a car, like, issue or something. Like a quarterback under pressure and, like, that always makes the right play. Just better under pressure. That's IQ. That is his brain being forced to work quicker because he feels the pressure. It's called IQ. It's called you can access more of your brain. That's how it works. It's not wisdom. Yeah, that translates to IQ a lot of times because, the more you know, the more you know. But no, I mean, IQ's IQ. So again, organically, IQ is that, and this is what everybody is showing the world. Is just how inherently stupid they are. I'm sorry, but that's just the case. Like, everybody did that. Why? Did it do anything? No. If anything, yeah, you would have probably found him if y'all ran toward him, toward the building. Not. And why do I know it's a him? Why do I just know it's not a chick? Why do I just know that? Wholly aside from that. Right? Like, we just know it's not a woman. Yeah, like... So... it's true. The IQ situation is what I just explained. initially having a reaction of get down. Yes, absolutely. You can't control whatever your muscle memory or impulse is that's trained into you or embedded into you because of experience. That's different. You drop, I understand that. Initially. But the moment you hear those single fires pop, you stand up and you look around and you look at where it was coming from. You see who was shot and you try to find the line of sight immediately and you make a beeline for that person. You don't act like a shriveled, scared fool. What? Again, there's no automatic rounds, nothing's constantly being fired. Everybody's just running. How did that help the situation? If anything, if they did have ARs and stuff, that would make it worse. You'd actually make it worse. Yep, because you're condensing the crowd. Yep. If you spread yourselves out and actually stayed closer, like, as a crowd, you'd actually surround the person with the AR, and they'd probably be actually scareder. More scared? More scared. Yeah, they wouldn't expect that. And then you'd survive it. Right? But everybody makes the wrong choice. They just go, oh. So, I get it. I get that not everybody's built with bravery. And that would take bravery if somebody had an AR. So it's a different situation. But still the situation of IQ, of the reaction of knowing it's just single fire rounds, you could hear that. Now you have to override your anxiety, your fear, your irrational anxiety, all that stuff, and think. Because, you know, if you don't, it's a serious situation. Somebody just fired a gun, man. Everybody's doing that. Man, that's the point. That's the point of this stuff. You're showing them all. That's the point of this stuff, man. You're showing them. So, anyway. Didn't I read something about Trump canceling Kamala's Secret Service protection too, or something like that? Hold on, I'm gonna see if that's... I heard something about that. Wow. Yep. Trump did that. It was an extended Secret Service protection, but Trump canceled it. After all that fuss about there not being enough protection for Trump, Secret Service protection for Trump, how that assassination was a disaster, he cancels her protection. Yeah, this guy really is a terrible person. Trump is really, really a terrible person. He really is a terrible person. Again, my money is on him. Yeah, again, if there's one person that I think would have the motive politically, it's him. We don't even know who the candidate is for the Democrats. Well, I know, but I'm not gonna say. Yeah, it's just the day before September 11th. You know, September 10th, the eve of, we will never forget. And then, again, the whole point is that his base acts a certain way when bad things happen to Trump. And not even just his base, like other people. It's almost like people come out of woodwork to feel sorry for him or something. Like, it's ridiculous. So, like, that's what this is about. Like, it's obviously about, you know, people coming out, you know, to you know, essentially to trigger that, to get that reaction where they do this, and it, you know, because again, he's trying to take office a third time. We know this. What do I think about the situation? Well, I sort of just spent the last hour kind of explaining what I think about the situation. I think that it is not, like, there's almost zero evidence that supports hate from Democrats, you know, like, where that would be who would have done this. But I will tell you that flat out, it makes a lot more sense to me if Donald Trump himself and people close to him would do this specifically for the feel sorry for me card. No, of course it wasn't. I obviously condemn the shooting. You know, obviously it's terrible. You know. There's a shooter on the roof, and he was like, not even on that facility, he was across the way. And the whole point is that it seemed like it was professionally done. The footage was for sale online. It wasn't kept under wraps. There was people there that were sort of not reacting the same way the crowd was, that seemed to be placed very conveniently. They were interviewed, but weird about that. And then at the same time, again, this is a person very close to Trump. And I feel like I foreshadowed this. I feel like I talked about something kind of like this where I wouldn't put it past Trump to take out one of his own people or something like that, where, you know, again, it's the feel sorry for me card, you know? Do I think he's really dead? Yes. Then stay out of my chat. Don't be typing in my chat. And they'll be telling us your age. That's ridiculous. I not only don't believe you, also, I think that you're FBI pretending to be a 15-year-old online and you have nothing better to do. I actually think that's what you are. I don't think that you're 15 at all. I think that you're FBI with nothing better to do right now. You literally have nothing else better to do. You know, you couldn't possibly think of anything else better to do. With, you know, the assassination right now, and you're in my chat doing that. So, you know, I mean, why is a 15-year-old that speaks perfect English in my chat at like midnight on a Thursday night? No. And if they are, get out of the chat. What are you doing? I don't believe that for a second. You couldn't possibly think of something else better to do with your time, FBI. You gotta be in my chat acting stupid. See, like, this is the point. This is what you guys don't realize. The FBI actually sits here and does things like this. They're wasting your tax dollars doing crap like this. They really do things like this. They really do. They really have, like, fake Facebooks, fake YouTubes and stuff, and they sit in here and people's chats and stuff like that, pretending to be kids and stuff like that. It's so weird. I've called them on it. Because the only way they're going to get away with me reporting the channel multiple times to YouTube, and it's still there. Using kids' pictures and stuff. This is the only way that happens if the FBI is doing it. How else would it still be there? The FBI is just sitting there doing that. And they're here in my chat doing this instead of what they should be doing. Investigating Charlie Kirk assassination. So, you see what Trump's doing. You see what he's not doing, too. He's wearing blue ties and acting very strange. Only 5 minutes to Charlie Kirk. Normally he'll go on and 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 on. Five minutes though. Interesting. He wears a blue tie. Interesting. Very interesting. I'll bet you could count on one hand the number of times Donald Trump is wearing a blue tie in public as president. Betcha, betcha, betcha. 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 So shooter on the roof. Can I be honest with you? When this fake 15-year-old came in here in my chat, 6 people followed this fake 15-year-old in here. 6. Like, wow. So either you're FBI and you got 6 of you, bots and all, or there's freaking 6 people following around a 15-year-old. Followed them into this chat. So which is it? Which would you like it to be, YouTube? It's one or the other. Oh, right, or it's that thing where you're hiding all the views until somebody types in chat and then suddenly there's all these people in here. Or it's that. Which one is it, YouTube? So I kind of got you back into a corner now, don't I? We saw that. Yep. There's nobody in here. That person types in chat, all of a sudden, boom, 6 concurs. A little strange. See, this is how deduction and investigation is done. Like that. It's either this, or it's this. And you rack your brain, you try to think about any other possible scenario. It's like, no. That's about it. And it's the same thing with, well, really anything else. You cover all your bases. What could it possibly be after doing that? Yeah, it's the freaking guy on the roof. Yeah. Are you kidding me? When professionally done, so the question won't be why'd he do it. The question will be who paid him to do it. Like that's what I think that most law enforcement don't do anymore. Like they want to not think that that's the case. They want to, like, I don't know, I guess just be simplistic about it and think that they've figured it out and solved it. It's all peachy keen. And the trouble is that the person that actually committed the crime is still at large. They just paid them to do it. That's what you gotta realize. And suddenly understand why putting a convict in the POTUS position isn't a good idea. So anyway, obviously, I condemn, any type of violence, anything like that. That's on either side. It doesn't matter. Again, that's not the answer. There was no act of aggression. He was just talking at a. That's ridiculous. Yeah, just like you don't assassinate the president either. Absolutely not. Doesn't matter if it's Trump. Doesn't matter how much I can't stand the guy. You don't do it. For all you know, Trump is a total dickhead, and he is the way he is because he needs some sort of Democratic Secret Service voter to take a bullet for him just to prove to him that not everybody is as much of an asshole as he is. To prove to him that that guy's better than you. And he just sacrificed himself to prove it to you. Maybe. You never know. But the point is, you can never go... You can never be wrong. You will never be in the wrong. You never have to worry about being wrong with choosing the side of life, of protecting, of finding ways to coexist. It's so fascinating that people think that the answer to the debt is to hire one of the richest men in the world. What does that guy know about money? Seriously, what does that guy know about money? Certainly has a lot of it. Doesn't mean he doesn't know anything about it. Just because he has a lot of money doesn't mean he knows anything about money. And this is a truth. A reasonable one at that. That's reasonable. That's not even a smart take. That should be reasonable. it's perfectly reasonable to think that somebody was just in the position they were in. You know, his dad gave him a small loan of $1 million. That's not a small loan, even by today's standards. And the time that he got it, trust me, it ain't small. So, no, like, he was given $1 million to expand on. Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, like, unless you're a complete moron and you just spend all of it. Sure. But I mean, if you have, like, he had his dad's empire to sit here and fall back on. Consistently. And then he still went bankrupt. 7 times. Isn't it 7 times? He closed down like 7 different locations. Still went bankrupt like 7 times. Elon Musk is no different. That's the point. Just because the guy has a ton of money doesn't mean he knows how to use it. I do think that Elon has a hands-on approach and actually runs his businesses and his company. I don't believe that about Trump at all. I don't think Trump runs anything. I think he screws things up. And other people barely manage to make them work. And they often don't. That's what he did to the country, that's what he did to his businesses. And his show. And he would consistently fire people that everybody thought he was going to keep because it was like the most likely candidate to keep, and he just fire them. But yeah, he did that for ratings, because of course he's going to fire the person. So it was very easy to predict. You could always just predict it. He's going to fire the person that you most likely think that he's going to keep. I could predict that every single time. I always knew. It was obvious. And at the time, I didn't like really hate him. I just thought it was funny that I could easily predict it. I was like, wow, like I'm always right every time. And that's when like I should have known, but I didn't care because I didn't know he was going to run for president eventually. You know, I just didn't care. You know, it was just like, oh, okay, whatever. That show's not going to last because it's predictable. You can see what he's doing. It's a freaking scam. And yeah, like people started figuring it out. It was obvious. They were gonna sue too. It was stupid obvious. People had amazing ideas. They would threaten to sue right on the show, and then they would cut it. So, like it was just ridiculous. It was obvious that he didn't know what he was doing, and he would just cut people for ratings and stuff. Not based on their actual like ideas. That makes sense. Yeah. Since that was what it was for. Anyway. Just realize that you can't compartmentalize and generalize things like that. That's not how things work. Not every rich person knows what they're doing with money. You know, it's often not the case. It's often why celebrities and stuff end up broke, because just as I explained earlier, everything's budgeted. They'll have to live within what they make as well. You know, and I already explained, you know, they buy really expensive houses and cars and stuff where they live too, and it just matches what they make. But their cost of living is what it is too. So the only true rich people are people that live by their own terms, that live sort of like a normal person, but they're a movie actor. You know, like all these people you hear about that don't spend a ton of money on a house or, you know, like a huge house and like tons of cars and stuff. They just live an average life, but are seemingly wealthy. They're doing it right. They're doing it right. You know, you don't use all of it. It's there and if you need it. It's not what riches are for. It's there if you need it. It'd be like if you had treasure and you didn't understand how to have it. Yeah, that's the point. It's like everybody is you know, Scrooge McDuck diving into that room with all the treasure and stuff like that. And then people don't realize that the reality of that is what Family Guy did, where Peter dives in and you actually dive into a room full of gold and you find out it's just a room full of gold. And you'd wind up with a few broken limbs and you know, it's like solid pieces of gold. He just dives in and he just breaks a bunch of stuff. That was so funny. But like that's the analogy, obviously. Like, yeah, like it was a smart joke. Like it was funny as the physical comedy was. That's the reality of it too, as far as like the analogy too is you can't do it. You can't bask in your own treasure. You can't. It's not how it works. That's what it's for. And the moment you do, you don't have it. Billionaires often will say this, but not even understand it. Where they say, well, if I would help everybody and give my money away, I wouldn't be a billionaire anymore. But what they don't understand is it's not what makes you rich. Think about how they would single-handedly buy us all out of poverty and still be seemingly wealthy at the end of the day. May not be billionaires, but everybody would suddenly be out of poverty. The world would be a better place instantly just because some billionaires got together and paid it all off for everybody. Boy, those are some great guys. Instead, I mean, I would certainly do that. I wouldn't even think about it. Well, you wouldn't be a billionaire anymore. Yeah, I don't care. Literally don't care. Doesn't mean anything. I'm that guy that wins the lottery and gives it all away to somebody. Like, literally, like, not all of it, but, like, the point is, like, most of it. Like, I don't deserve that. What makes you think you deserve that? No, the guy that's been busting his ass at the same fucking restaurant for 30 years, hoping to get a promotion. He shows up every day. Barely calls in sick. That guy deserves that. So yeah, like, you know, like, if I was actually rich, yeah, I'd probably sit here and start, you know, like restaurants and stuff like that that offer jobs to people that otherwise wouldn't be able to get them and stuff like that. Like, I'd probably do stuff like that, you know, like it's hard to say, like, because they don't have it, but, you know, like, because, like, you have to obviously do what's legal, too, but, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that or anything illegal about it, you know, so, of course, I would try to go that route, you know, I mean, I love restaurants and love the idea of giving people jobs and not just giving out money, but giving people a means to earn it. That's all. Yeah, that's what community is about. That's what society is about. The means to earn it, not necessarily handout, but here you go. Here's the means to earn your own way. And then not even own the restaurant. I'd probably put somebody as an owner. You know, like, just literally, like, be a founder. I get my name on a plaque as founder and literally just have an owner, like give it to an actual owner and stuff, not even worry about it. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's so unnecessary for me to sit there and own all those assets. It's so unnecessary. I don't need to. And then at the end of the day, with my billions and billions and billions and billions and billions, after opening up a whole bunch of restaurants and helping people out with that, I'll still probably have billions. That's what you have to realize. Because billionaire, at the end of the day, can sit here and help everybody. And probably still be a billionaire. And at the very least, probably some sort of multi-millionaire, you know. Hundreds of millions, something like that. It's just that you can't appreciate how much money that is. And to think our debt's in the trillions. And tens of trillions, too. Almost nearing the hundreds of trillions. Oh. Oh, money that doesn't exist in the whole wide world. And you wanted billionaires in charge. They just added 6 trillion to the debt with the tax plan. Wasn't it 6 trillion? With the new tax plan, they just added 6 trillion to the debt. All they have to do is tax themselves the same tax rate they're taxing us. That's all they have to do. All they have to do. And they won't. That's what the deficit. It's a huge portion. You're just not balancing the budget. It's insane. Getting those tax brackets correct. You guys have seen me sit here and play management games and stuff. Like, these games are specifically designed and calculated by, I mean, it's a computer, you know? It's a very sophisticated, I mean, if anything, that's exactly how you predict that stuff. You just calculate it with that. You create a system, it's very sophisticated. It's pretty accurate. You just based on numbers and percentages. You actually have a whole system for those people. You build the city, and yeah, and I mean, like, you can really see, and it really is a city, and they're interacting, doing jobs, and there's an economy, and there's like all these different things. It really is a full management system. You really can see what affects things. You really can. And when I sit there and I raise taxes for the rich, it is astronomical, the effect that has. Yes, I have to also raise it for the medium wealth class. Raising it for the low class doesn't do shit. Because it's so, like, that doesn't do anything. They don't make anything. There's less of them. Doesn't matter. That's stupid. That they shouldn't even have to worry about it. Medium wealth and high wealth should pay about the same. Maybe high wealth just a hair more, barely a more, is the perfect balance. Trust me, I've done it so many times. There's a perfection balance. And what it does is, normally you would have a bubble, what's called a bubble, where by increasing taxes, because you have a lower tax bracket lower, and there's all these people paying all these taxes that are lower, and then when it's higher, you get an interjection that's huge, so it looks like there's a lot, and there's a bubble, then all of a sudden, you get the next tax bracket, not so much. So it creates what's known as like a bubble, and in order to combat that bubble, you have to have enough taxes of a similar tax bracket to counteract that, to bring that back up. Otherwise, the debt never gets paid off. The debt just skyrockets because the numbers have stayed what they are. You're just increasing it for the very few people that are rich. I'm sorry, the huge amount of people that aren't rich, and it's not making a big difference. It's just sort of kind of slowly, but then you're decreasing it for the rich people. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, like you literally will increase this and then decrease this. If anything, you made it worse because there's more coming from the rich people because again, it's a percentage. So, they earn more than you, they pay more taxes. It's literally that simple. You buy more groceries at the grocery store, you pay a higher amount at the end of your, you know what I mean? Like, you spend more on groceries, you pay more sales tax, right? It's literally how it works. So that's the point. It's talking about fair share and talking about paying what everybody else in just the same percentage. So the point is, the perfect thing to do is to keep that higher tax bracket ever so slightly above the median wealth, because it creates a bubble where you get this interjection of the high wealth. A nice little bubble. And then just the huge, massive amount of people in the median wealth, but it's almost the same amount and tax bracket wise as the high wealth, just ever so slightly underneath, but just these sheer numbers and an amount, it's almost the same. So it just helps to really even out with that tax bracket, because again, the rich folks are now paying not only their fair share, they're paying ever so slightly a higher percentage because they can afford to. Because they can afford to. Oftentimes they use more resources too. They really do. They use more emergency services, more electricity, more water. They really do. Seriously, on average, a richer, more wealthy person just simply expects more. That is absolutely true. On average. And the more narcissistic and self-centered and more rich they are, the worse it is. I'm not saying every billionaire is like that, but there's not very many billionaires. Consider the ones that we know that we're talking about now that we know are like that. The two that I'm talking about. We know they're like that. I'm not saying Bill Gates is like that. In fact, I don't think he is, actually. But we know two that are like that. Why is there like this weird hate towards Bill Gates too? I've been wondering that lately. Why is it like this new thing to just randomly hate a person? Why is that something that's started happening? I've never experienced this any other time in my life except now, where we have this hateful internet nonsense, where it's just like really common to just, like all of a sudden pick somebody that, to hate. I feel like it's Trump too. I feel like it's like always like his people. Am I wrong? I'm trying to think of another example the other way. Like, if I can think of one, I will say it, but... Either way, hate on either side is wrong. Hate on either side's wrong. And, you know, what I really think is, again, like what I said at the beginning, that organically there's this systemic problem with people, with uneducated people in the world and in this country, where you're getting too much information from the internet and not from a reliable source of education. That's what's going on. Too much. And then we have all these people confused about what to think and how to feel and how to act. And not understanding that we don't assassinate people. That doesn't accomplish what we want. That doesn't somehow, like, you know, achieve our goals. It really doesn't. No matter how we think it will. It won't. It's a shame that you know, it's a shame that it had to happen, obviously. Like, it didn't have to. It really didn't. You know, these sorts of things, it's always senseless. It's always, you know, don't ever think that's why, like, something like this where it's a hired pro and stuff like that, you immediately think political, you immediately think they were hired. Don't assume. Hate group, don't immediately assume that. Don't do that. Because I honestly don't even necessarily think that was the case with the guy on the roof that fired at Trump. No, I still stick to my guns on that he was manipulated. You know, that was not a hate thing. That was him. Somebody was manipulating him behind the scenes. And, like, you know, sort of a similar situation here, except I'm too smart to be manipulated. Where, you know, somebody is stalking them and, you know, like, affecting things. And you know, in a modern day where, you know, they can just find out your IP like it's nothing. I mean, jeez. You know, they just messed around with people. So I do think that there's a fair amount of manipulation and psychological warfare really happening. Really, really happening right here in this country. And I think that you'd be absolute fool, a complete and utter fool, to think it's not, and to think otherwise. We condemn violence. We condemn any type of hate. Again, if somebody is, like let's say an activist for BLM or something like that starts burning stuff down, immediately BLM's going to separate themselves from that and say, look, we don't condone that. We condemn destroying things. No. Yeah, immediately they should step forward, because again, that causes for a peaceful protest, not for supporting destruction and stuff like that. So the people sharing the media that covers the police cars being burned down and stuff, notice that. Notice the repeats of stuff like that, where that's what they're choosing to show, instead of all the other people that are probably peacefully protesting. No, they're just doing what gets views. Of course. You can't listen to that crap. That's not what's really going on. And stop hanging on to that. Maybe they probably arrested those people and took care of that already, and you're hanging on to it. That's the reality. So then somebody else thinks, oh wow, this is really happening, I better do something. That's it. Like, it's literally the media influencing people. Because again, art is art. You can sit here all day and say somebody's foolish enough to not understand that a bad guy in a movie is a bad guy, and it's just art. But when media takes something and spins it, and it's supposed to be responsible, and instead it's not taken responsibly, it's spun. That's not that's why I mentioned agenda free, because they're one of the only ones that's doing it truly that way. There's a few others out there, but even a lot of the ones that I watch, yeah, it's obvious that they're biased a certain way, and I respect that and understand that, but it's nice to get the agenda free. It really is, because I want to vote Republican. I really do. There's just a lot of freaking lunatics that are Republicans that I cannot stand. Like Trump. Guy's a lunatic. Mitch McConnell. Freaking lunatic. That's all I'm saying, man. Yeah, I'd love to be conservative again. If it was the Conservative Party. The Democrats are the Conservative Party now. It's the other way around. And the Republicans are beneficial to corporations and huge business. We literally see it. The president's a billionaire. Kidding me? How do you not realize this? It's the other way around. It's reversed. Republicans help corporations. The Democrats are conservative. Roles are reversed, man. They've been reversed. They've been done reversed for a long time. Even Kennedy was like a Democrat. You had Kennedy, not RFK. I'm talking JFK. I'm talking actual JFK. The JFK. He was a Democrat. He was a real one. He was. So, this is what you have to realize, is the Democrats have been conservative. All while the Republicans are sitting here just lying to everybody. And it's been the same monotonous scheme since forever. So anybody paying attention, that's the point. That's why it sounds so one-sided. being radical. Because they're always just going to spin it that way, man. It really is one-sided. Vote blue no matter who. Yeah, unfortunately. I've heard it too, and yeah, it's the truth. You should. Unfortunately. I don't want to either. I want to vote conservative. I do. But you can't. No, you cannot. Obama's been warning us. They've been warning us for a while. It's getting so bad. He's trying to take it a third time, and he's probably gonna. Remember how he had to sit here and make an official statement saying, I'm not gonna try to run a third time. Well, yeah, of course we knew he's not gonna run a third time. He's already said that. So that's a very carefully placed statement, so he doesn't have to lie because he's the worst liar on the planet. The point is he's not gonna run the third time because he can't. He's gonna have J.D. Vance run and then reinstate power to him. That's all he's gonna do. And he's redistricting in Texas and all these states with huge amount of electoral votes just specifically to try to get the electoral win. That's what he's doing. It's a coup d'etat of the election process. It's literally just treason. So, not following that process, trying to overturn everything that we've done to make sure that presidents don't do that there's checks and balances. Yeah, it shows the abuse of power and the taking more than they originally had, even. All while being the first convict in office, too. Taking more power than any president ever has, all while then also being the first convict. I mean, come on. It was only people like and that really is a shame. It was only really people like this guy that were giving Trump any kind of pull anymore, too. Yeah, because people can't stand Trump. They really can't. For good reason. No, I think it was, I do, I think it was on purpose. I think it's a perfectly staged coup where conveniently he's the front runner, the guy that looks like he's all for Trump and stuff. So, yeah. Once he sits here and he does all these things and he has one of his biggest outings, period, he's assassinated in front of all those people. For them to see that. So yeah, they're going to be charged. They're going to be wanting to vote red. Now, no matter what, they are absolutely never changing their vote now because of that. And it worked, guarantee you. It worked. Absolutely. So yeah, my money is on Donald Trump, on his administration. They did it. So, you know, because the point is, this guy was always gonna be stabbed in the back, just like all other people's all other people that Trump has stabbed in the back and ended up sending to jail or worse, you know, like we see. And my point is that I don't, I condemn any violence. And like, we don't, again, I just like I said, I would be there diving on Trump myself if I saw a shooter, like I would do the same. I wouldn't even have a hesitation about it. He's still the president. I'm still going to protect him. Absolutely, hands down. But at the same time, you still have to sit here and call out when you recognize that Trump is the one that's had it directed at him, and now he's scared. And he acted scared. We know that. We know that when he got on camera and started acting all weird and said, well, if I'm assassinated, then Iran, or didn't he say like they're going to be completely destroyed or something like that? Like, he was just, I was like, what? Huh? Wacko. Like, again, he could say anything and he gets on camera and just says that. It's like, gee, I wonder what this guy's thinking about. The President of the United States, and he's worried about that. Huh. So, he wears it on his sleeve. And so, like, the point is, he is going to sit there and he is going to take out even somebody that's a champion for him. Just to reduce the risk. Yeah, I mean, seriously. He would. Guarantee it. And then the footage was for sale online. Look up what a black bag project is. Look that up. That's all they would have to do. Like with, essentially, if you're a president where you don't have to worry about the legality of the law coming down onto you because you did something illegal as president, you have abuse of power and stuff like that. Yeah, black bag project. Sure. Yep. They're just black bagging everything. So, just saying. That is a very likely situation. Yeah, there's just too many things that point to, again, it being this big event, plenty of people. Why would somebody on the other side pick that? You know what I mean? Like if it was, hey, it'd be more random. It'd be more, you get what I'm saying? This was very pro, this was very practiced, this was very planned. It's obvious. Almost as if the pro that did it kind of wanted people to figure it out. Not necessarily find them, but wanted people to figure it out. You know, like, because again, it's too obvious. You know, pro doesn't make those mistakes. Yet it was a pro. Like, you just know. You know from the position, you know from the shot, you know from there's so many different things. We already went through it all. And so just if you're in the CIA, you don't believe in coincidences, I think is what they would say. Yeah, like that's how they would look at it, essentially. If you're a CIA, you don't believe in coincidences. That's all I'll say about that. And there's way too much of it for that. It's like coincidence. Okay, how many of these are we gonna be like coincidence, same day? Yeah, it ain't no coincidence. Oh, by the way, September 10th, by the way. Happening on September 10th, by the way. Yeah, okay. This is too many things. It's too much. It's like just, it's too much. It's too obvious. It's too... Yeah, we wanted this to hit home. We wanted this to be a thing where people remember it. September 10th. Charlie Kirk. Somebody that... One of the few people actually like supporting Trump right now. No, this wasn't democratic. It was the other way around. It was made to look that way. It's too obvious. Just saying. That's what any smart person should think. Black bag. Black bag. Remember Blackbriar. Treadstone. Some good writing. What a crazy world, man. Yeah. Obviously, you guys know what I think, and again, I just think that an intelligent person would think the same thing, would deduce that from what they see there. I'm sure whatever ballistics report is going to show you is going to be some bullet casing from a gun that was probably, stolen from this person or that person or whatever, and conveniently fits somebody that was there that day, and I'm sure it's all going to add up, and I'm sure yada 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 yada. I'm sure it will all just somehow add up. I'm also sure that some of the investigators are going to be super confused and it won't add up to them. But I'm absolutely certain that they'll have a statement and it'll all add up. And they'll be like, yeah, this is all that happened. And it'll be just like when "60 years later we find out JFK was an inside job." We find out, surprise, our own intelligence agency had an inside man from Russia, from the Soviet Union, that assassinated the President of the United States. And then as soon as he did, and the reason that we know this, is because he literally turned himself in and went, "I'm a Soviet spy. See ya." And then defected. And we just kept that to ourselves. That was classified top secret. That. Huh? So wait, our intelligence agency made a stupid mistake and it was top secret for fucking 60 years. Oh. Huh. Interesting. And, you don't think that, maybe Trump administration's kind of, sort of doing that a little bit too? They're not trying to dig into the old playbook a little bit. No, they are. Bringing back archaic, illegal means to deport people to. Wearing his blue tie today. Do you still think I'm an FBI agent? How do I know you aren't one? Wow. Says the person that's supposedly a 15-year-old in my chat. Okay, now I have to block you. Goodbye. Goodbye. I blocked you already. I don't know why this is a problem. If I have to block you on a secondary function, we're going to have a problem. Because then I'm just going to report you and you'll be a 15-year-old talking in my chat in a live stream, and your channel's gonna get taken down like the next day. You aren't supposed to be in chat. You aren't even supposed to be on this platform. That's why. So again, you're just a 15-year-old typing in my chat. That's why I called you a fucking FBI agent. Because again, like I stated already, moron, that's just an FBI agent. There's no fucking kids in my chat past midnight on a Thursday night. This is not happening. Friday night. Thursday night. Sorry, Thursday night. It is a Thursday night, I guess. Technically it's a Wednesday night, but it's Thursday, I guess. So, Wednesday night, sorry. That's why I was confused. I said Friday for a second, but no, Wednesday night, it's now Thursday. So, basically, you're just sitting here in my chat claiming to be a 15-year-old, even though, again, you're probably not. You're probably just somebody masquerading as a 15-year-old because you want to say that in my chat. So again, I have to block you. Tried to time you out, but no, you wanted to come and be seen again, so you got blocked. So again, no, it's just ridiculous. Stop trying to be seen and have the stream talk about you. No sleep Wiblo. So anyway, I'm going to get off of here because there's a stalker in the stream causing problems anyway. But as you guys know, I condemn the violence, obviously, from both sides. You already know how I feel. It's terrible. It shouldn't happen. And the stream is losing FPS again. We're lowering FPS again. I'm going to document that. That is absolute documentation proof. And document the FPS being lowered. Stalker in this stream, that's why. So we condemn the violence. Just remember that. Always condemn violence, condemn it on both sides. There's a stalker in this stream trying to upload malicious data into the stream before we close it, so gotta go.